Hi guys, thank you so much for being here and I really do hope you're doing well. Today you're joining me on a wet, windy day. It's not very nice, but it is the perfect weather conditions to talk about this, the all-weather notebook. I wanted to hate this. I really wanted to hate this. Why? For such a long time I've avoided taking any kind of paper outdoors with me. It would either get rained on, my bag would leak if the rain went onto my bag, or I'd just simply spill something like water in my bag and it would wreck the paper. So I've not been taking notes, I've not been doing field sketches, I've not been doing reminders or anything like that, and I've missed out on so much. So I wanted to really put this through its paces, really. I wanted to really test it, and you'll see that I really did test this, quite harshly in fact, in the video a bit later on. But I have to say, it has won me over. Before I go into the video testing, let me talk you through the features. Obviously this is water resistant, but even when it is soaking wet, it is tear resistant. If you make regular paper wet, just the slightest movement will just rip that paper apart. Not the case with the all-weather notebook. When the pages are wet, they also don't stick together. If you were to get some pages of a book wet, you'll find that they congeal together to be just one mass, and separating them is nigh on impossible. It's easy to separate the pages of this notebook even when they're wet. You can write on this when it's wet. That's right. You can get a ballpoint pen or a pencil, just a regular normal pen. Try not to use fountain pens or anything like that, but who's taking fountain pens into the wild? You can write on it when it's wet. You really can. I've tried it out. I'll show you that a bit later on. The other great feature is that, let me show you this, the pages are grid format and they're a uniform grid, so you can actually do a scaled down map, which I think is a very, very good and beneficial feature of this particular pad. I chose today to come out and film about this because it was raining so much. The rain's actually stopped and I've waited for some time and it's not restarted. So I'm just going to have to show you the old-fashioned way. I've got a canteen of water down here and I should just be able to show you the water-resistant properties. There we go. So if I hold the sheet up there, you should be able to see it. I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't just blow out, and there's already a bead of water on it there. Look at this, just water, and I'm pouring quite a bit on there, and hopefully you should be able to see it just beads up like that on the top. It really is quite something. It's just resting on there. If I want to wipe that off, I could either shake that off right now and the page is going to be perfectly normal, or I could take a tissue and wipe that off. There we go. If I shake that, there we go. Oh, it's just moved it around a bit in this instance, but the fact that you can just move it around is pretty damn cool. So I did some testing on this, some serious testing at home, and let me show you the footage right now. So the way I'm going to test this is to submerge these two pieces of paper for 1 hour, hence the reason it says 1 hour. This is the all-weather paper and it has pen, pencil and Sharpie, which is an indelible all-purpose marker. It's not recommended that you use a Sharpie with this particular notebook, but I just wanted to test it. And over here we have a similar size thickness of paper, not the same physical size but thickness, as a control with the exact same types of pen here. I'm going to fold both of these paper in half, there we go, and that is going to test how the paper sticks to itself when wet. And I'm going to submerge these now for an hour and come back afterwards. Okay, it's been an hour. Let's take the regular paper out and see how it's fared. The paper itself feels very flimsy indeed. It's breaking down almost. I can see it's becoming fibrous around the edges. If I try to separate these pieces of paper, even if I try with two hands, I'm going to place this down a second. I think I've caught all the drips. Try to open this. And there's a little loop of paper there that I've tried to pull to open. It's just breaking apart. Or if this was the whole notebook, all the pages would be stuck together and you'd lose all of that information stuck on the internal pages. Let's take a look at the all-weather waterproof paper. The writing has been unaffected even with this unrecommended use pen, which is the Sharpie, and I I'm going to open that up there. And you can open that, that's fine. Right, the other thing that we need to test is if we can actually write on these. First of all, we'll test the pencil, see if we can write. That's a negative, it's an instant rip on contact. Yes, I most certainly can. There we go. We'll check the pen now. Thought I had a bit more progress there with the ballpoint pen on the paper, but it's just broken down. Yep, no problem. This will probably break my Sharpie, but I can get a new one, that's no problem. Let's try over here. Even the Sharpie went through the paper a bit there. That's actually pretty good, it's getting stronger with each turn. That's amazing. So passed with flying colours on the 1 hour. Exact same thing, but for 24 hours instead. It's been 24 hours, and as you can see there's a stark difference between the two papers. This paper over here, the waterproof paper, it's still intact, it's still visibly intact. The other piece of paper, not so much so. It's actually disintegrating, it's fuzzy. I'm not sure if you can see that exactly on camera, it's very fuzzy. Going off the first 1 hour experiment that I tried, you weren't able to write on the paper was not able to be separated, so I'm not going to assume any of those things are going to happen after 24 hours, 24 times that amount of time. But I'm just going to pick this up and show you roughly what we have. Now this is falling apart, so I have to be very careful here, and there's no way that's coming apart. It's falling apart in my hands. It's not going to be able to be separated correctly. So first of all, you can still read the writing on this quite easily there, and with the pen also. That's shocking. Let me just bring it closer to the camera. Yes, so you can still see the pen. You can actually still see the pencil very well. No problem. No problem. It was a bit more tacky than the 1 hour, but with the 1 hour paper, I don't think water had permeated all throughout the paper. That is not falling apart in my hand. It's certainly not tearing. If I did that with this piece of paper, well, let's just do it. It's breaking off. Look, there we go. It's coming apart in my hands. So flicking it has resulted in a big long mess. Let me flick this in the same condition. No problem. Now let's see if we can still write on this after 24 hours being soaked in water. We'll start with the pencil. My pencil isn't particularly sharp, but hopefully you can see that there. Now with the pen. Oh, no problem whatsoever, look at that. Bit more difficult with the Sharpie than after the initial hour. I would like to try one more test, and that is to submerge this and see if I can still write on it while it's in the water. No problem whatsoever. My writing's a bit of a problem, but that's about it. I don't know if you can see that here at the top. I left one of these out in the rain a couple of days ago, and I've let that dry off. It literally looks exactly the same as normal. It's got a bit of a crinkle to it. There we go, you can see it there. A bit wavy, but back to normal paper. It stood up to some very harsh testing there, and I was quite harsh with it. It's a great size, it fits easily in your pocket, and especially in your packs, in the side pockets of your packs or in the front pouches. It doesn't need to live there though, does it? It can be out in the open. You can be very free with this. When you get an idea, when you want to sketch something, when you want to make a note of any kind, you don't have to go rummaging through your pack. You can just find it just at the side of you. It doesn't need to go in your pack. Even if something were to leak in your pack, or your shelter fails in some way and it gets soaked, it doesn't matter, it'll just wipe off and the written information won't bleed everywhere as it would do with paper. It actually has some survival benefits as well. Imagine a situation where people are searching for you, but you're in an open environment. You need to move to, say, a cave or a sheltered area. You can actually leave notes for people by writing the note, tearing it off on a sheet, and leaving it partially under a rock. Now, it's not going to be affected by the weather. Your writing is still going to be legible. You can pass that information on. And, I mean, they're bright green. I don't know if that's coming across on camera. They're like a neon green. So people will spot these in nature. I mean, it stands out like a sore thumb. It definitely does to me. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera. The other great thing is that even if this gets soaking wet, you can dry the pages out. which means you have some tinder with you at all times. For example, if this notebook was soaking wet, I could tear off this top page, I could dry it out. I could either dry it out by leaving it out in a sheltered area, or I could place it in my coat, unzip my coat, place it under my arms or around my body to dry out with my body heat. Then I could easily put a spark to it or a flame to it and generate some embers, generate some fire, which is very important in a survival situation. If you're into geocaching, and if you're not, just Google geocaching, this is a perfect logbook. It's not going to get wet. By far, the coolest thing that I've thought about with this, and I'm almost debating not to share it with you because it is really fun, is, and I've got one pre-drawn here, is to draw a map. So you draw a map like this, or a maze should I say, and once you've drawn your maze, you drop some water from your bottle on there, and then you can hold it like this and you navigate it around the maze and you get that little bubble out to where it needs to go. Now that's pretty cool in itself, and if you've got kids, look, that's going to keep them occupied for quite some time. I tried so hard to be tough on this kit, and you know what? It won me over every step of the way. The price for this as well, it's not much more than a regular notepad, but with all the features that I've mentioned in this video, it really is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Will you buy one though? What video do you want to see next? Leave a comment in the section down there and have your say. Until the next video, take care. Bye-bye now. Buy this and more at meanandgreen.com.